Hello everyone, back tuning into today's fourth and final video. We're going to have a look at the weather for 10 more days for today's final video. Day 10 will take us to the 5th of March. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that with GFS and CFS Ensembles. Maybe run around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. And that gets us well into the second half of March. I shall get to that for you in a moment. Just to say that first video today was our 6M UK weather forecast. We've also released weekend forecast, and all of that was enough. The second and final spring 2024 season one around it. That's getting about 14 long range watts together from the World Leading Forecast saying to see what they're all showing for the spring of 2024, and that of course is ahead of tomorrow's spring forecast reveal. GavsWeatherVids, Gav's going to reveal all tomorrow. Wow. So, that's going to be interesting. 10 a.m. Be there or be in bed. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe on all today's videos and content. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Right, let's start off with Strat then. So, just to have a quick look at temperatures at 10 HPA over the Arctic and the north parts of the blue coast here. These are the cold temperatures at 10 HPA over the pole. That's the polar vortex at its roots. Polar vortex disruption currently going on. We have had sustained warming of the PV, of course, over the past days, weeks, even months actually. So we see the PV being stretched here with warming on either side of those blue curves. Now, over the next few days, going to get a renewed warming of the stratosphere over Russian Siberia. There it is into the beginning of March. Quite a significant warming again, causing a displacement event of PB. These blue curves being pushed out of the pole down into the North Atlantic and northern parts of Europe as well. At this point, we are starting to think about the solar wind going into reverse and into extended range. The warming is maintained, and eventually we get a split of PB. Look at this. So on this GFS run, PV is actually splitting now as we go further on into March with the two lobes of blue, one lot going spinning off into North America and another lot going off into Europe. So a split there, a split event of the PV, as well as a reversal of solar winds. Gradually, it looks like we've got a major sudden stratospheric warming event creeping up on us. The effects of this could be 2 or 3 weeks down the line in terms of a tropospheric response if we get one, and that could be in the form of northern blocking. So we may not be done with winter. Although it has been a very mild winter, with barely any snow really away from like Scotland anyway. I don't know. I just got a feeling we may not be done. We may not be done with this winter yet. So watch your space, and we shall keep you posted. But certainly, still ongoing, very interesting stratospheric signals are continuing. Central temperature beginning to edge downwards now. So we're currently sitting at 8.5, which is 4.7 degrees above 61.9 average temperature to yesterday to the 23rd of February. That will continue to fall through this weekend. We've got some cold nights. We had a cold night last night, and the cold nights to come tonight. So by the beginning of next week, that could well be heading down into the upper 7s, say about 7.9 by the time that updates into the early part of next week. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts from Penn State University for the next 7 to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF on the top, and the GFS is down here on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to above average height, which is high pressure. Blue to below average height, which is low pressure. Each show looking very unsettled in the 7 to 10 day time frame, with a deep trough of low right over top of the UK and western part of Europe. It is in combination with some blocking up to the north as well. So that's sending a jet stream into a northwest southeast alignment. So not only unsettled, but also potentially quite cool. We could be importing some quite cold air into that trough of low pressure as we get into the early part of March. But GFS is very similar. So again, we've got quite a significant blocking feature away to the north and to the northeast, and then we've got this trough of low pressure. Oops, let's change colour. We've got trough of low pressure in off the Atlantic, along with a northwest southeast alignment, jet stream and wind flow. And again, that could start to bring some colder air into that trough of that low pressure. So, a 7 to 10 day time frame, which really gets us to next weekend. We could be looking at, well, we'll be looking at unsettled weather, but potentially the chance of something a little bit colder and more wintry as well, maybe. So these were 500, I don't want to talk about this is GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles, actually. For the next couple of weeks, we're at Wrexham today. Red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Wrexham. Very up and down, a lot of scatter going on. So starting off quite chilly. We are going to get a bit of a warmer or milder push around Wednesday, Thursday. That will be associated with quite a lot of rain. Then a drop in the upper air temperatures at the end of week into next weekend. Lifting them up further on through the first week of March, but then maybe cooling them down again. Although, as I said, there is a huge amount of scatter there as we're going through that first week of March. You'll notice that the GFS operational run, which is the thick green line, at various points is either one of the warmer ensemble members or one of the colder ensemble members, indeed potentially even a cold outlier by the very end. So for about this period onwards, really, so anywhere about the 3rd of March onwards, there is a lot of uncertainty within the GFS ensembles. Precipitation-wise, more showery conditions come over the next couple of days, but we get a drier slot though early next week. Wet weather comes back later next week, quite a deluge possible then, and then maybe going off into a slightly drier spell through the first week of March, but that is a long way off. Snow road for Wrexham looks like that. Actually, there's quite a few snow spikes there around the beginning of March, so this is Friday, Saturday. Next week, maybe there could be some snow. Nothing happening before then, and not, you mean not a lot going on afterwards either. Temperature anomalies, summer 24th February to 3rd of March, around to a little bit below average. Precipitation anomalies, summer 24th February, 3rd of March, west of an average for the south and the southwest, averaged, or perhaps slightly drier than average for further north and east you go. The latest Windflow Map from earthnoschool.net shows that we're under a trough of low today. There's a trough through here, and then we've got a deeper area of low pressure out in the Atlantic. That will be heading in and be bringing wet and windy weather into, well, it's actually going in that direction, so it's going to give us a glancing blow. It's going to give wet weather to the far south and southwest tomorrow. Right, let's go for chart data then. So this latest UK Met Euro is looking for midnight on Tuesday. That low pressure is slinking away into France and a ridge is building in behind it as we get into Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, sees weather turning more unsettled again as low pressure deepens in the Atlantic. Thursday could be a proper old wet windy day as low pressure comes in and the front sort of stalls across the country. So you're going to get a very wet day here through Thursday. Eventually that rain should get away, and by Friday Saturday, Friday, Saturday, it's midnight Saturday, we're under a shallow trough of low pressure then, and starting to bring some colder air into that trough as well, so that's where the increasing risk of wintry conditions perhaps comes from by the early part of next weekend. I can't, again, with a ridge of high pressure building in from southwest on Tuesday, bringing quite a bit dry weather with it, but it turns more unsettled for the second half of next week. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, being blocked by high pressure trying to build up over Scandinavia. And again, there's weather fronts, stuck in the flow, but it's going to get held up. That could bring some very wet weather for the second half of next week. Eventually, though, the low pressure sort of slips away to the south as high pressure builds to the north. So we finish up looking like that by midday next Saturday, 2nd of March. We've got low pressure going down towards Biscay. High pressure is blocking from Iceland, Scandinavia, and winds are coming in from an easterly direction. Have a look at the upper air temperature. They're not particularly cold, but they will be bringing lots of cloud, dank, dreary weather in with them, and no doubt feeling rather chilly as well. The KMA looks like this. So again, we're bringing in plenty of low pressure through the latter stages of the week, properly wet and windy again around Thursday, Friday. Then the low pressure drops away to south, high pressure building over Scandinavia and starting to block off the Atlantic. Up to the 7th of March, not looking particularly cold, but certainly the heights are rising to the north and to the northeast. We've got to keep an eye on that as we go further on through March. If that high pressure starts getting anywhere towards Iceland or Greenland, there may be a prospect of some much colder weather coming up here with these blocking signals, increasing. The GFS midnight run, again, with a ridge of high pressure building up from the southwest to the northeast on Tuesday. Then through Wednesday, Thursday, it turns increasingly wet and windy as low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic. Very wet day potentially on Thursday. Then low pressure sort of slipping away to our south next weekend as the high pressure over Scandinavia is blocking the progress of these areas of low pressure. Now we could go into a very wet pattern here at the end of the coming week or end of next week and into next weekend. We could be in a very wet pattern because there will be weather fronts associated with these areas of low pressure. Various fronts coming in off the Atlantic, trying to go in that direction, which is their default direction, southwest to northeast, but actually being blocked by that high pressure, and so the fronts in the end, probably, and the lows in the end, probably go in that direction, which can produce some very wet conditions as those fronts slow up and become stuck. We get through to day 10, and we're still looking very unsettled. Low pressure remains in the ascendancy there. Beyond that, well, the unsettled weather with the GFS midnight run just goes on. No sign of a change to high pressure here, unfortunately. But now you can see it's into March here with the GFS midnight run. Now, this is a precipitation forecast based on that GFS midnight run. So we've got wet weather coming into the south tonight and tomorrow. And that takes a while to clear away, even into Monday, but does eventually get out of the way. Then we go to the middle of next week, a little bit drier, but by Wednesday, Thursday, wet weather's piling in from the Atlantic. This is Thursday with quite a bit of heavy rain across the country, sort of stuck coming up against that Scandinavian high, which is up here. And cold enough for a little bit of snow with this across northern parts of the country by Thursday as well. Further wet weather coming in through Friday, bit of a deluge for England and Wales there. That turns to snow as it pushes further north into parts of northern England, for example, southern Scotland as well, Friday through to Saturday. So there is a bit of wintry potential with this pattern that we've got here. Snow there by Monday the 4th of March, even into Wales and the Midlands, with that little area of low pressure. It's unlikely that these individual snow events will verify, but it is an indication that this is a pattern, a blocking pattern. Whilst it's not particularly cold for a blocking pattern, not as cold as it could be, it might be cold enough to produce not only a lot of cold rain, but also some snow at times. And the idea really from the GFS midnight run is just that those bouts of rain keep on coming. So, oh dear, not much sign of an end to a deluge there, the GFS midnight run into March. Let's have a look at the GFS 6 there. Again, with high pressure reaching up from the southwest northeast into Tuesday, bringing some slightly drier weather, but low pressure back in Thursday and Friday. Low pressure being blocked, and so we've got weather fronts in the flow here, and are coming up against that blocking area of high pressure that's away to the northeast. As those fronts sort of stall and little areas of low pressure form along them, we also start to bring some colder air into those areas of low pressure from the North Atlantic, so from like Greenland, Iceland. So it is a pattern that can deliver a little bit of wintry weather as well as quite a bit of cold rain. Into next weekend, we start to bring up some milder air from the southwest with the GFS 6Z run. And we see the high pressure building up from south. So the GFS 6Z goes back to that idea of higher pressure by around day 10 and a milder, drier pattern, but not for long. Then the low pressure digging back into the Atlantic, go back into those northerly winds yet again. There's a bit of a hint of a delayed spring here, I have to say. Now, this precipitation forecast based on that GFS 6Z run. Again, the rain in the south tonight and tomorrow, so that will be very heavy and persistent, eventually gets out of the way. Then we're sort of dry midweek, but more rain piling in around Thursday. That rain coming slowly across the country as well. A little bit of wintriness in northern and western regions, very wet down in the south. Thursday through to Friday. So that turning to snow, even into East Anglia and South East there through Friday. So wintry potential, wintry prospects here at the end of the coming week. Very into those milder southwesterlies again, as it turned drier and milder for a few days before the cold air comes back in from the northwest again, and the shower turn wintry, particularly so up in the north, but we're in the low res time frame now. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like, share, and subscribe, and show everyone for doing that. Well, drop a comment so what you think about this and all of our videos and content, and thanks so much everyone for doing that. Don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. We need to put on around 78 subscribers, 78, to get to 18.1k. So if you could give us a sub, and tell your friends and family to subscribe, that'd be amazing, and it would be incredible. And we will thank you so very, very much for doing that. Okay, GM. Again, the high pressure reaching up from the southwest on Tuesday to Wednesday. Turns more unsettled Thursday to Friday. Plenty of low pressure piling in from off the Atlantic. Then cold, wet pattern setting up at the end of the week into the weekend. And that's a setup at day 10. Still looking pretty unsettled then, I'm afraid. And then the ECM is looking like this. Again, we've got low pressure pushing in through the latter stages of the week, bringing lots of heavy rain in with it. That low pressure stalling as it comes up against this sort of block towards Scandinavia, and eventually starting to slip south, or trying to slip southwards as we get to around day 9, 10. That's a setup for day 10. Still very unsettled then. Low pressure in the Atlantic. Deluge goes on for bouts of rain coming in from off the Atlantic, still with this high pressure lurking up to the northeast there. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run. So again, we've got rain a little bit further southwards maybe with the ECM compared to the GFS, but very wet down in the south tomorrow. Anyway, that rain takes well into Monday to clear the far southeastern corner, otherwise returning drier. Then more rain coming in from the Atlantic through Tuesday. That will fizzle out as it does so. Drier for Wednesday, but eventually turning wet and windy. That's Thursday, looking thoroughly wet on Thursday. Some of that rain starting to turn to snow in the west and the northwest. Well, double low pushing through on Friday, bringing rain to the south. Potential luminous snow with that elsewhere. That looks quite snowy, doesn't it? That's Friday, midday Friday. So quite a bit of snow there, particularly in the north and the west. Have to firm up on that. We may be doing snow watching the next day or two. You wasn't expecting that, was you? When you started this video, I bet. But I wouldn't rule out that we'll be doing snow watch at some point for the early part of next week with this pattern. Next Friday looking quite wintry really across the country. Wintry showers anyway. So further northwards, and then we go beyond that. Yes, we've got further rain, sleet and snow in the mix as we go from Friday into Saturday as well. Very marginal, admittedly, but you know, there is a lot of interest here, I think, from a wintry perspective at the end of the week into next weekend. And that's a setup at day 10, still with further rain, sleet and snow at times. Classic cold zonality, this. These are the upshot table within the ECM Ensembles Day 4, Day 10 for the Oceanic Metals. It gets us to the 5th of March. 15 members of the ECM Ensembles, including control and the operational run, have high pressure up towards the northeast. Low pressure is to the west of the country, being blocked. So the winds sort of coming in from an east-southeast direction, but also we get an undercut of colder air from the North Atlantic, like Greenland, Iceland, coming into those areas of low pressure, which provides the wind shear potential. We have got 15 GMAC, got 13 with high pressure to the northeast. That probably gets the wind in from an easterly direction. We've got 10 with high pressure blocking somewhere around Iceland. Low pressure to the south. Again, winds could be coming in from an easterly direction. Easterly direction. We've got 5 with quite deep low pressure right over top of the country. We've got 4 with high pressure just out to the west, looking potentially a little bit on the drier but cooler side of that. And then we've got another 4 with high pressure to the northeast, low pressure southwest, and that'll probably bring up wind the southeasterly direction. A real mixed bag there, and all of a sudden we might see a little wind shear potential, I have to say, between days 7 and 10. I mean, 2 time is the options that we got. Gets us to the 10th of March. 13 members of the ECM Ensembles with high pressure blocking between Greenland and Scandinavia. Around that, winds could well be coming in from quite a cold easterly direction. 12 with high pressure over Scandinavia, wind potentially coming in from a southeasterly direction about, so it could be a little bit milder. We've got 9 with high pressure away to the northwest. That will probably bring in winds from quite a cold northerly direction. We've got 7 with low pressure just to our west and southwest. That looks unsettled and mild, despite the fact there's quite a bit of blocking to the north. We've got 6 with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the west-southwest, winds coming in westerly direction. And then finally, we've got 4 with a Scandinavian high and winds coming in from an easterly direction. Of course, how cold any easterly winds are, that's open to question. We may well get some easterlies going here from a Scandinavian high or something, but they might not be that cold. But anyway, we shall monitor the situation. We might have some colder weather creeping up, actually. Right, okay, CFS V2 is a 500 millibar hydronic breakdown into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 24th of February to 1st of March. So the next week sees low pressure elongating through Western Europe. There's a dip of a jet stream as well. So unsettled, and as that low pressure, so we've got a ridge in the Atlantic here, and we've got like a block away to the northeast. Low pressure is in between, and as the low pressure elongates, we actually bring quite cold air into that low pressure from like Greenland and Iceland. So unsettled but turning colder, perhaps by the weekend. Week 2 is going to be the 2nd to the 8th of March. It looks like I've got a big old Scandinavian high going on there, and winds potentially coming in from the east. So that would, you know, we'll have to wait and see how cold those easterlies are, but potentially that's chilly at the very least. Week 3 is going to be the 9th through to the 15th of March, with high pressure looking like going into retrograde there. Retrograde, moving towards Greenland and Iceland. A lot of dry weather with that, but potentially starting to bring the wind in perhaps from a cooler sort of northeasterly direction. And then week 4 is the 16th to the 22nd of March. Trough of low pressure Scandinavia, high pressure is out to the west, and that will keep wind either from the northwest or from the north. So quite chilly conditions continuing into the second half of March. Could we have a delayed spring on our hands here? And that's before any tropospheric response, probably, to the SSW. So, all looking quite interesting, and, well, we'll see how it goes. We're done, anyway. So, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much, everyone, for doing that. Why don't drop a comment and say what you think about this, all of our bits of content. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thanks so much, everybody, for doing that. So, plenty of interest, plenty to keep an eye on. I wouldn't rule out the chance that we might be doing Snow Watch in 2 or 3 days' time as well. So just watch this space. I'll just tell you what's coming up on the channel tomorrow. Now, 6 AM UK weather forecast. We will have our spring forecast. So the beginning spring updates every week since the new year. It's all been building up to tomorrow, and we will reveal all and issue our spring forecast. We'll be live at 6 PM with our 10 to 14 dayer. We'll include some long range into that as well. So it's going to be an interesting live. That will be coming up for you at 6 PM tomorrow. You enjoy the rest of your Saturday, though. And for this one, that's all for now. And thanks so much.